All right, let's talk about a piece of advice that is so common, it's basically wallpaper. But what if I told you the real key to innovation, to breakthroughs, isn't about thinking outside the box, but about completely mastering what's inside it?
Yeah, of course you have. You've heard this a million times, right? From every business guru, in every creative workshop, it's always sold as the one true path to that big breakthrough moment.
It's this promise of total liberation, a grand escape from the mundane, all packed into this one neat little phrase. But we're here to tell you that this piece of advice is basically a lie. Seriously, the whole idea that true innovation comes from just breaking free from all constraints is one of the most misleading, unhelpful concepts out there. See, the lie you were sold is that freedom lives in some kind of structure-free vacuum. But that isn't freedom, that's just chaos. Real, effective freedom, that comes from deeply understanding the very thing you were told to escape from, the box itself. So, okay, if the box isn't a prison, then what in the world is it? Let's completely redefine it. It's not some symbol of oppression or just blind tradition. The box is just your operating environment. It's the set of rules and conditions that define whatever game you're playing. It's not good or bad, it just is. And in fact, it's the very structure that makes achieving anything possible in the first place.
Think about it. This box includes the fundamental, totally unavoidable truths, the laws of physics, the fact that you need to sleep, the 24 hours in a day, and it also includes the systems you consciously choose to be a part of, your career, a team sport, a creative medium.
And here's the crucial point. Ignoring these realities doesn't make you a visionary. It just makes you ineffective. You're basically trying to play a game without knowing the rules, which means, let's be honest, you can never really win.
Now, let's get to the really good stuff. This is the core of why mastering constraints is where the real power is hiding. This is how you turn your limitations into your greatest advantage.
Just consider this for a second. Every master, in every single field, achieves greatness not by ignoring the rules, but by understanding them so deeply that they can work miracles within them. An engineer uses physics. A surgeon relies on anatomy. They don't pretend the rules aren't there, they leverage them. This really highlights the fundamental shift in mindset. An amateur sees rules as frustrating roadblocks that get in the way. A professional looks at those exact same rules and sees them as tools, as leverage to create predictable, powerful results.
So how does this actually play out? Well, it's a pretty simple chain of logic. The box, a limited budget, a tight deadline, it forces you to make trade-offs. You can't do everything. Those trade-offs force you to decide what's most important, which sets your priorities. And over time, your priorities reveal what you truly value. Constraint creates clarity.
This is the difference between being a one-hit wonder and becoming a legend. Raw ingenuity might get you a clever solution once, but that's basically luck. Mastery, or structured ingenuity, means you understand the system so well you can create success again and again and again. You own the process because you mastered the box.
Okay, so how do you actually do this? It's not about memorizing some rule book. Mastery is really about discernment. It's about learning to tell the difference between the different types of rules. First, you've got to identify the load-bearing walls of your system. These are the fundamental laws. For an engineer, it's physics. For a business, it's probably cash flow. If you break these, the entire structure collapses. These are totally non-negotiable.
Second, you've got the flexible rules. Now these are the ones you can bend, you can stretch, you can test. This is where true innovation actually happens, not by breaking the system, but by finding all the creative possibilities right at its edges.
And finally, maybe the most insightful category of all, the illusions. These are the rules that only exist because everyone just assumes they're real. Traditions or conventions nobody's ever bothered to question. A master sees these for what they are and simply walks right through them.
So the really crucial point here is this. True strength isn't about being a mindless follower or a mindless rebel. Both of those are just different kinds of weakness. Real strength is having the wisdom to know which rule is which, and then acting accordingly.
Now, let's talk about the ultimate payoff, because all this discipline isn't about restriction. It's about achieving a much more powerful and meaningful kind of freedom. When you first start working inside a new system, it can feel restrictive, and that discomfort is so often mistaken for a sign that you're in the wrong place. But it's not. It's just the friction that's required to learn. It's your mind and skills grinding against that structure to become stronger.
This is what a person who really lives this principle looks like. They don't just fall into situations, they choose their boxes with intention. They become deep students of the systems they're in. They innovate without causing chaos, and they almost always leave the structures they touch stronger than how they found them.
And really, it all just comes down to this. Stop seeing limits as something to complain about. Start seeing them as your primary tool for creating focus, clarity, and yeah, even power.
So, the final thought we'll leave you with is a personal one. You are already living and working inside all sorts of boxes. Your job, your relationships, your skills. The question isn't if you're in a box. The real question is, are you actively mastering it? What rules do you need to learn? Which ones do you need to bend? And which ones can you walk right through to find true freedom inside your frame?